Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to Anime King. And today I'm gonna be giving you part 16 of What If Naruto Was a Badass Genius. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual, share this to all of your friends on your social media platform, and also guys, stay in tune for What If Naruto Was Neglected by Everyone. And I do hope you guys enjoy. And after that, I'm going to be posting a new episode over on Anime King 2 of What If Naruto Was a God Amongst Man. And I'm also going to be posting a new episode of What If Naruto Was a Deceitful God. So stay in tune for those, and I hope you guys do enjoy. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. And remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying and talking back to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, let's begin this new episode. Start the intro.
I think the girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done. I think the girls with their
So, the last spot we left off, the invasion was on, as Temari and Conqueror and Gaara were stopped in their tracks by Naruto, who attacked them, as Naruto was pissed off, as Temari tried to calm him down, but Naruto was still pissed off, as Naruto attacked and stabbed Conqueror, as Gaara said that he will not fight Naruto, as they get Naruto to calm down enough to let him hear what really happened, as Naruto calmed himself as he understood, as he told them to go, as Root Anbu show up and told him that the Hokage requests his presence now. As Naruto was surprised Danzo was a Hokage, meanwhile Jiraiya was greeted by an Anbu. It was Sarutobi's Anbu, as Sarutobi named Tsunade as his successor. So only thing Jiraiya need to do is find Tsunade and bring her back to the village, and Danzo's reign would not last. Kakashi then found Jiraiya as the both of them started to talk. Two rude Anbus then appear and told them the Hokage want to see them now, and with that they vanish. The group came to the Hokage's office as Danzo was sitting in a chair with a smug look on his face, as he told Kakashi that he will no longer be in charge of Team 7, he will be reinstated back into the Anbu, and that is the order. Danzo knew that he couldn't really tell Jiraiya what to do. It was only because of the man love of Konoha while he was still here, but he told him that he wanted to speak with Naruto and he could be here as well. As Jiraiya went to find Naruto, when he got to the house, Naruto was there as he was pissed off, as Naruto couldn't believe how things are turning out. Before Naruto left with Jiraiya, he told Itachi that he will have to do a massacre, and with that he left, as Naruto went to talk to Danzo, as Naruto realized that Danzo is not as conniving as the old man, as he showed that as well, showing Danzo that he's not ready for anything yet. And Danzo told him if he tried to run, he cannot be everywhere at once and protect everyone, especially his mother. As that pissed Naruto off, but he held himself back. As Naruto's mind was set up, this man need to be killed. When Naruto got back home, he talked to Itachi. As Itachi agreed with him, Danzo is not the future of Konoha, he will just make things worse. So later that night, Sasuke wanted to come with Naruto and Itachi, but the both of them told him it was too dangerous and that he's not ready for something like this yet. As Naruto then turned to Itachi, as it was time that they started the massacre. So yeah guys, that was basically the last part we left off. You guys can switch across the place and check it out for yourself, so let's start this new episode. We begin this episode at the root base. The place was brought to a standstill when a murder of crows appeared out of the corner, out of nowhere. In seconds, the crows were surrounded by root Anvus. It was silence until Danzo's footsteps echo around with his cane as he walked. He stopped a good distance away as he saw two persons emerge from the crows, Itachi and Naruto. I wasn't really expecting this, said Danzo, but it hardly matters. I can tie up a loose end and make you my soldier. It is foolish of you to come here to think that you can get away alive. Itachi, I did not think that you were this naive. As there was a hint of disgust in Danzo's tone, Naruto looked around as he looked at the root Anbu. He ignored Danzo as he spoke to Itachi. They are effective, alright. Nice little dogs. I want to keep some of them. Itachi narrowed his eyes at Naruto. That wasn't part of the plan. Why, he asked. With Danzo dead, they will be lost. It will be easy to make them work. Besides, I need some weapon of my own to look around this world. It may be fine here in Konoha, but as the invasion has shown, some people are still plotting outside. I must know before it's too late, and these people will help me with that. Getting rid of them would be a waste. I guess you're right, Itachi said. Is everything set? Naruto nodded. The barrier has been erected. I don't have to worry about anyone noticing anything, he said, as his voice got darker. He then dropped on all fours as red chakra exploded out of his body, as two venomous tails swing dangerously behind him. As Itachi Mangita Sharingan came to life, we cannot afford to spend too much time here, and we need to know what Danzo is planning. You can start with them. I'll take care of Danzo. It will be a couple of seconds, and I also need to be delicate to take Shizui's eye, Naruto said, as a third tail emerged, as the venomous chakra exploded outwards. The next morning, it was early morning, and yet the hidden leaf was woken up by a storm that shook the village. It was a shock that had all of the villagers muttering in silence, as this made them remember the Uchiha massacre. Another massacre occurred, and this one was bloody. An entire root organization had been slaughtered, as well as its leader. This was a mystery. At least with the Uchiha incident, they knew who caused it, but this one is a mystery, and it brought fear in the hidden leaf. Who was it that done it? Was it someone in their midst? Was it Itachi again? If it wasn't the Uchiha, then who could have done it? People also think it might have been Orochimaru. After all, he invaded their village and killed their Hokage. It would not be above him to do this. Everyone had their thoughts, but what was certain that the village was in fear. As it happened overnight, no one saw or heard anything. Someone walked in and killed over 100 of trained killers. And no one noticed. Not even the Anvu were supposed to know. And that thought was terrifying and made a lot of people scared. Meanwhile, Jiraiya stood on top of the Hokage's monument as he looked down at the village. Something needs to be done to restore calm in the village. If things stay like this, the other villages will surely take advantage because of the confusion. It wasn't a mess that he didn't think that he would wake up to see. If he had taken Naruto's advice and left the village and went to find Tsunade, he wouldn't have seen this now. Then again, it was best that he was here. It was in a moment like this where his presence was needed. More than ever right now, this village needs someone strong to stand in the leadership. It needed someone with a reputation. Tsunade was what the village needed, and he will get her back no matter what. Suddenly, Anbu flashed beside Jiraiya. It was the one that spoke to him yesterday about Sensei and about his successor. Did Sensei predict this one? Asked Jiraiya. It was one of the possibilities, but likely he didn't consider that it would happen. Hence, I said Naruto would leave the village yesterday. But I didn't think anyone expect him to be dead just hours after taking the seat. But it has happened and it needs to be dealt with. With him gone, I have no reason to keep what the third gave me. I trust that you can carry out his wishes. You so like you're leaving this village, Jiraiya said curiously. I am, the Anbu said with a nod. I will claim the actions done to Danzo and his root. If the village stay like this, people would panic. It is best they believe that someone did it, than make them still in their confusion and panic. You must know who did it then, Jiraiya said. Why though? It is a sacrifice I'm willing to make for the sake of the hidden leaf. Every now and then someone has to make a sacrifice, the Anbu said. I know that Naruto's in the root bases, Jiraiya said. I sense the chakra of the Biju when I went down there. Just because you sense the Kyuubi's chakra doesn't mean that Naruto actually did this. What you don't know is that another person contained Biju's chakra, the Anbu said. As Jiraiya looked at him confused. By the end of this day, the village will know my mass and that I exist. as he vanished without another word after speaking. Jiraiya stood there as he was confused. Aside from the Kyuubi's chakra, there was no trace of Naruto's presence. It was disturbing that there was another person with the Ubichu chakra. And why would that man lie? And it wasn't like Jiraiya was going to do anything to Naruto if he was involved. But right now with things like this, there will be no one to oppose Tsunade, and she can take her rightful seat. Meanwhile, at the Senju compound, "You must have had a rough night out," Mikoto said, as she was bandaging Naruto's upper body. The blonde was in discomfort. He didn't have any wound on him to say that he was injured. The woman assumed that the Kyuubi closed the flesh wounds, but the pain was still there. By now, Itachi was long gone, not even a trace of his presence left behind. It was better that way, because once it became known of what happened, it would be harder for him to leave the village. Those robots were trained killers. I have to admit, they were trained well. It was a lot difficult than what I had in mind. They made a real fight out of it, Naruto said as he winced. He received his fair shares of hits and cuts. It hadn't been a clean sweep, but they got through. But once the master was dead, it became a lot easier to handle. You faced Orochimaru Sanin, but you left without any wounds. But when you face root envoys, you have trouble, Mikoto said. I had the element of surprise with Orochimaru, and with the root envoy I did not have. But the job is done anyway, Naruto said. Mikoto nodded. And you're still alive. I am very happy that you're still alive, Naruto. Of course I didn't doubt your strength, but I'm happy you're okay. As she smiled at him, as Naruto looked at her smile, it made him curious. She had different kind of smile towards different kind of people. This was one that seemed to be just reserved for him. He shook his head. Maybe he was just having one of those days. I had no choice but to return. If I had died on that battlefield, my mother would have been known as the mother of the shinobi who died trying to kill the Hokage of the Hidden Leaf. At least things look good again, Naruto said. Yes, you can start hoping again. We can hope for better things, she said. I don't think that they would just allow anyone to take the position after the Danzo case. Laws have to be changed about how the Hokage is selected as well. So, what are you gonna do now, she asked. I am going home to smile to my mother while I make her breakfast. I feel like I am free, he said. I have never felt so weightless in my entire life. There is no Danzo, no one to make me worry. The village has a better outlook on me since the invasion. All thanks to the third Hokage scheming, he said, with a smile on his face. You can almost say that I am quite happy. Mikoto smiled. I am glad that you found happiness. I wish you could express it more. Do you wish me to show you how to express happiness, dear? She said. You know I'm in the room, right? Said Sasuke. Why are you acting that way towards him? Because he's a delight to your mother, Sasuke, said Mikoto with a smile. As she totally forgot that Sasuke was in the room. As she blamed Naruto for making her forget about her precious son. She knew that Naruto did not forget, he was just ignoring Sasuke. Sasuke scoffed in response. Mikoto then turned her head back to Naruto. I meant, what are the plans from now on? Itachi said that he won't be returned to the Akatsuki. I am sure there is something planned. As Naruto knew that he could not just stand and think that things were going to be alright, he could not be that naive. This was a shinobi world, anything could happen without any notice. Orochimaru tricked the sand to attack Konoha. Something could happen. He could not just relax. First, he will see who will become a Hokage, until he know who it is and see their motives. He will know what to do then. But of course he has to make plans of his own. He could not live without a plan. Wrestling with the old man with thinking gave him a lot of idea how to think better, and he has to make a plan. The fight with Danzo's rat taught me that I have a lot to learn. I want to grow stronger. Watching Itachi fight showed me what real power is. I want to reach that level where I'm certain I can protect my mother regardless what come my way. With that in mind, I will be leaving Konoha so I can get the training I need. Itachi will be training Sasuke. That was something that made Sasuke smile. He was still angry that Itachi and Naruto left him behind. He understood that it was dangerous giving Naruto pain, but he was still bitter about it. But this made him happy and he will be strong in the end. When do we leave? Sasuke said. Not even considering your mother when those words left your mouth, Naruto said. Sometime your lust for power disappoint me. No matter, Sasuke, you must not forget what is beside you. Your mother carried you for 9 months, and she's the only parent you have left. Treat her with care, Naruto said. As he then paused, I am going to mine. Are you going to tell her? Asked Mikoto. Naruto closed his eyes as he thought about the scenario. Yes. Maybe not today, but I will. Mother will worry about it. It's best to clear the air. The last thing I wish is to make my mother worry. But you do keep things from her, Sasuke said. I have never lied to my mother and I will never will, Naruto said. That was his only response as he then left. As Sasuke watched him left, he should also be returning home as they were currently in the Senju compound. And he needed to know as he was going to leave the village with his brother and train. As he looked back at his mother and frowned, she was staring at the door that Naruto used to leave the room. His mother had become really close to the blonde. She was way too close for Sasuke liking, and Naruto kept on telling him how he should act around his own mother. His own mother? Who the hell did he think he was? You and Itachi are real close to Naruto, Sasuke said. Mikoto smiled. Don't be jealous, Sasuke. That emotion is a stupid thing for Uchihas. What you should remember is that I am your mother, and Itachi is your brother. No matter, Itachi will always love you, and he certainly does love you more than he loved Naruto. Don't ever doubt that. Naruto can never take your position in our hearts. Time skip. Sometime later, Kushina rubbed her eyes as she wondered if she was sleeping. She was the one to always cook, but yet she found Naruto cooking, and he seemed very happy, just by his body language. Last night wasn't a good night at all. She didn't sleep peacefully because of Danzo's right to the Hokage seat, as that made her fear for her son's future. She knew that the Mandalf plot to have her dear son become a weapon for Konoha, and she would never stand down and watch that happen. As she would not think of leaving this village, but when it comes to her son, she would do anything to protect him, and she would leave the village that instant. Good morning, mother, Naruto said a smile. As Kushina wondered if he was possessed, or if someone was playing a cruel joke on her. She dreamed like something like this happened. She wanted a happy child, someone that could surprise her like this with breakfast. But this was not Naruto. The Naruto she knew could never do something like this, no matter how much he loved her. As she wondered if he snapped and lost it, because Danzo became the Hokage, because this was really strange to see him like this. Or perhaps this was a dream. You're not dreaming, mother, Naruto said after seeing the look on her face, as she was snapped out of her thoughts, as she walked over to the kitchen. Are you okay, Naruto? Kushina asked, really carefully, as she didn't want to make him upset or anything if he really snapped. Naruto nodded. I am fine, mother. I have never felt so alive in my entire life. As she wondered, Naruto, you do know that Sarutobi is dead, and Danzo is going to make our life difficult because he's becoming Hokage, right? She just needed to confirm that he was aware of the situation that surrounded them. But Naruto acted like he didn't hear her and still continued on his breakfast. Once done, he brought her a plate, as he brought her orange juice as well, as he sat down with his own plate and orange juice. The old man death is sad, but honestly I have not given myself time to think about it. Perhaps it has yet to fully register in my head that I won't see him again, Naruto said. Danzo is another matter. Maybe he wasn't thinking that much about the old man's death, because he was a bit happy. Of course, he would never tell his mother that. Sarutobi really annoyed him with his schemes and not telling him things. Perhaps if he didn't do so much schemes, he would feel something, but right now, he didn't feel anything. Danzo is a troublesome matter that could ruin us, Kushina said. I met the Sand siblings, Naruto said, changing the conversation. Yesterday, I am sure by now they have crossed the desert and are home. He said this to see how his mother would react, as he wanted to know, as he was going to be careful how he handled the situation with them, but his hostility towards Conqueror would not be masked. I am happy to hear that, she said. I was worried that something might have happened to them. It would have been sad. I have really grown an attachment to them. She paused, thinking about their situation. Temari would sure have a lot to deal with now. They no longer have a mother and their father is gone. I have become like a parent to them. Maybe I should keep on watching them. Naruto had mixed feelings about the whole thing. His mother was forgetting that their village had attacked Konoha. Yes, they were fooled by Orochimaru, but history will prove and record that the sand attacked Konoha with the sound. Perhaps, at least, they're on our side and things will be better. We don't have to worry about the villagers and we can actually look forward to some peace. We would, but you're forgetting something, Kushina said, as her son was acting like Danzo didn't exist. Naruto, are you not telling me something, she asks. As Naruto didn't waste time, he wasn't going to keep that secret from her, and besides, she would find out when she go out in the streets. Danzo is dead. Kushina stared at her son, as her skin crawled as she think about the possibilities. He risked his life to get rid of Danzo. She did not doubt that Naruto was involved if he was saying it. She should have thought that he would do something like this. Naruto, life is a precious thing. You're precious to me. If something had happened to you, I don't know what I would do without you. So I beg of you, please don't do something so reckless again. What if Danzo had caught you instead? It wouldn't have happened, Naruto said. There was plans to avoid things like that, and Itachi was there as well. Itachi would have also given his life to save mine. Naruto, you have been in Anvu before. You should know that not everything goes according to plan. You might think that you have everything planned out, but the unlikely will happen, and even throw away your plan E and F. Kushina said in a sad tone, as she was thinking about the night she gave birth to Naruto. I should be angry that you did something like that, but seeing how free you are right now, I cannot complain. Perhaps it would make her a bad mother, but this was a shinobi world. Naruto lost his innocence a long time ago. He wasn't a normal kid he had killed before. He had been in Anvu. It's a good day, Naruto said, with a smile on his face. An hour later, when Jiraiya came to face Naruto, he wasn't sure what to expect from the blonde. There was no proof, but he knew that Naruto was involved in Danzo's murder. He was going to complain. Konoha was done a huge favor, and no one was going to cry over it, because the man wasn't announced as the acting Hokage as of yet. Still, Jiraiya was sure that Naruto did not do it for Konoha, as it made him worry. Would the blonde kill anyone who he thought would make his life miserable? As Naruto told him that Danzo will not be alive to become Hokage, and when Konoha wake up, the Warhawk was dead, killed along with his root Anvus. There had been blood everywhere. The person who was there wasn't gentle at all. It wasn't the assassin style that Naruto was known to use, as corpses were just ripped apart mercilessly. What can I do for you, Jiraiya, Naruto said, snapping Jiraiya from his thoughts. As Jiraiya was wearing black, as it was time for Sarutobi Memorial, but Naruto was still in his normal clothing. Aren't you going? Considering how close you two were, it will be somehow if you didn't go, Jiraiya said. Naruto looked up in the sky with a blank look on his face. When was it going to rain? He wished more than nothing the rain to rain down on his face, as he didn't even hide the emotion. He just felt that the rain would be, well, with the clouds above them, as the sky was rather dark. I am not going, Naruto said, surprising Jiraiya. Why would he have to go? What would it achieve if he went to that place? People would be crying and it wouldn't be pleasant for him, especially if it were the people of his village, because he didn't care a damn about any of them, and seeing them sad would only make him miserable. As he thought about the situation, before the man died, he had been growing to dislike him because of his plots and his twists. He was never free because the old man always had a hand in everything that he did. Watching his every move, he felt like he was trapped, unable to do anything. Why? Jiraiya asked. As Jiraiya wanted to know why the blonde was choosing not to go. I have a lot to think about, Naruto said as he sat down. There's a lot to think about, he repeated. As Jiraiya looked at Naruto, was it finally snapping into the blonde that Sarutobi was gone and he was going to see him anymore? Before Jiraiya could say anything, Yu-Gi-Oh flashed beside them. She smiled at Jiraiya. You should go. They're already looking for you. I will stay here with Naruto. Jiraiya nodded as he sent a glance towards Naruto once more. He then vanished without saying another word. It is really a sad day for Konoha. I am sure when our allies hear about this, they will also mourn for us, said Yu-Gi-Oh. As the death of the old man wasn't a normal shinobi, he lived through 3 shinobi wars. Possibly, said Naruto. Yu-Gi-Oh glanced at Naruto for a moment, as she then looked back to the Leaf Village. They didn't have a Hokage. The one who grabbed the seat yesterday was dead. Why are you not attending the proceedings, Naruto, she asks. Is there a reason I should? Naruto asks. You were close to the old man, and this is the time we get to say goodbye to him. This is the time we have to grieve for those we have lost. I should know. I was struggling to deal with my own pain at the loss of someone I loved. As Yujiro felt it, when her loved one died, even though she was trained to conceal her emotions at the Anvu, she still broke down. You're mistaken, Yujiro. Perhaps in the early days I liked the old man, but as the time went on, specifically in the past months, I had not been smiling with him. Any more months had come with him still alive, I would have probably grown to resent him. It is good that he died now, before I disliked him. Yujiro was shocked of hearing that. For a moment she thought of slapping him, but when she looked into his eyes, she saw nothing that reflected his emotions. Perhaps he wasn't focusing on the old man's death, perhaps he didn't care. Either way it was wrong. She could not tolerate something like that, and she was sure that he wouldn't speak that way in front of his mother. Kushina had sent her here because she knew that Naruto would not show himself in black. He needed someone, but what could she do to help him? Someone so young shouldn't be like this. He had to have emotions. The third had fought at first to keep you away from Danzo because he didn't want you to become an emotionless robot. But it seemed like he didn't have to worry about that, Yujiro said. Emotions, I have them. They're just not wasted on pointless things. The third is dead, we need to move on. The dead must not hold us from looking forward. Admittedly, the third was doing all that he could do to secure my future, but with him gone now, I have to get my hands dirty. Well, not literally, Naruto thought. He did have his toys now. Yujiro narrowed her eyes. There was a dangerous feeling in his tone, and she did not like it. She did not like it one bit. What are you planning? Nothing major, Naruto said, a slight shrug. I have to go away for some time, and train to get stronger. A time away from this godforsaken village would do well to refresh my mind, he said. Yujiro shook her head, even though the villagers were now talking his name with a small smile on their face for what he did in the invasion. Naruto saved a lot of people with his clones, as she meant a lot. But Naruto still hated them. She was sure a couple of villagers would realize that he wasn't at the old man's funeral, even though they were close. I knew Hokage have to agree with you leaving. And seeing that the council is the one in charge right now, I don't think they will agree with it. I don't care what the council thinks. They cannot debate my actions. But if they're being stubborn, I can get Jiraiya to play his part. As Naruto then stood up, come on, you must cover for our disappearance to the sand. We are going to the sand, she asked. Yes, I am going to the sand. You will stay behind to watch my mother. It will only be for an hour though. There are some things I need to handle. Yujiro looked at him curiously. The sand wasn't just outside of the leaf, it was a distance away. It took more than an hour to get to the village. There are people that gone ahead of me. They should be ready to call me anytime soon. I want to be ready when they are calling me, Naruto said. Meanwhile, at the sand, Baki was in the chambers. The council was currently in charge, seeing that they didn't have a Kazekage. As Baki was fed up with them, he knew that the snake had greeted them after Rasa didn't side with him, and these people are corrupted because they think that they could really take down Konoha. Next time, he will look for the guidance from the 5th Kazekage, and these people will be second tier, as he had returned from Konoha to inform them about what Danzo told him. The man had ordered them to surrender or risk being forced into submission. We simply cannot allow that man to rule over the village like that. The sand is ours and we cannot sell to that man. Perhaps we should send a message to either Kumo or the stone. I am sure both villages will be willing to help us out for a price. And we can use the Kazekage children as bargaining chips. Yes, that would work, another said. Neither village would want Konoha to get stronger than it already is. They would think that if Konoha is coming after a sand, what will stop them to come after them after they recover completely? This was the madness that was making Baki sigh. Baki, whatever was about to be said, stopped as the lights went off. As they saw a murderous amount of crows just appeared. As they quickly got up and shouted for Anvu and for Baki to do something, they knew that they were under attack. As they saw the Sharingans glowing in the murderous of crows, that was no doubt, it was the Sharingans, but who? Itachi? Before Baki could move, 2 white masks, man flashed, one in front of him and one behind him. As their swords are pressed up on him, He was caught and he was sure if he made one wrong move, he would die. Baki glared at the murderers of crows as they kept on, just chirping around. "Who are you?" he asked. The crows exploded outwards as Naruto was standing there with a blade in his right hand as he had a cold look in his eyes. "Uzumaki, what is the meaning of this?" When it was appeared to the council that it was just a brat, they shouted for the envoys to dispose of this fool. But no one came. No one came, no matter how hard they shout, or matter how loud they got. "What is the meaning of this?" one of the members asked as they looked down at Naruto. "It has come to my attention that this council conspire with Orochimaru, even after Kazekage had refused. If you had been fooled like everyone else, I would have let it slide, but you supported the invasion. Why?" "That's a foolish question to ask. Do you think you can get out of here, kid? This is our village, and no sooner than later, this place will be crawling with Anvu. Be clever and we will not dispose of you. We will use you as a bargaining chip to make Konoha forget about everything." Naruto simply blurred out of view as he appeared in front of an old council member and brought down his blade. A second later, a head fell to the ground. Chaos reigned as Naruto snapped his fingers as 3 other masked men appeared in the chambers and started to slaughter the elders. Baki watched the expressionless look on his face. He didn't care about the old farts. If anything, he would have ended up killing them himself. They became too power hungry and they would drive this village towards the edge of a cliff. Naruto then walked as he calmly sat down on one of the chairs as he motioned for Baki to be free. "These are Danzo's men," Baki stated, looking at Naruto. "Danzo is dead," Naruto said, with his hand rested on his chin. "You no longer need to worry about Konoha. A new Hokage will probably be Tsunade, and if she had kept the old man teaching, she won't make the same proposal that Danzo made. She would do it in a peaceful way." "Did you have a hand in his death?" Baki asked. But Naruto didn't answer his question. "For the next 2.5 years, you will train Gaara in leadership. You will select a new smart council, and after you think he's ready, you will select Gaara as a new 5th Kazekage. Do you wish to make Gaara your puppet leader? Gaara is a smart person. I am sure that he will be a good leader and not make stupid decisions as a former council made. Do you have a problem with my arrangement?" Naruto asked. "Raza held a high opinion of you. What are you going to do after? And you don't look like you're interested in controlling the sand, not that I would allow it. I have no interest in leading this village. I merely took an action that worked well for me. If things go south in Konoha, I can come here with no problems and no one will object to it. This village can become a fortress with Gaara's power, and no one will think twice about attacking it. That makes things safe. Nevertheless, if you do have a problem, you can die in the next second, and I will look for someone else who can take the job. The envoys around here are dreaming in a world of genjutsu. As far as they're considered, everything is going smoothly." Naruto then stood up. "I hope I do not have to come again and slaughter everyone in this room, including you." If Baki was told that someone so young would have been doing this, he'd have laughed and rolled on the ground, but seeing it in front of him, it was quite a shock. "You seem to have things in script. What do you think will happen now? Even if the next Hokage do not make demands of the sand, our relationship has reached a point where anything can happen. What do you think will be the best way to deal with this situation?" "I don't really care about that," Naruto said. "What needs to be happening is up to you. I was merely removing objects that will cause trouble to Spur. If they had gone to the Stone Arkumo, a bloody war would have started, and I wouldn't mind wiping out the entire village to prevent a war from happening. Konoha doesn't know you're here, and I'm sure they don't know that you're working with Danzo's people. If this got out, it will cause an uproar. If you're saying that Danzo is surely dead and you have his people, it is safe to say you have a hand in his death. Does Konoha know about it? For a man who was acting as Hokage, it can be considered treason if discovered. The people that matter are actually happy that he's dead," Naruto said. "But if you're considering in doing blackmails and threat, try and pick up all the cards and see if you will have hands to pick them up," Naruto said. "Or we will see if your existence continue going on," he said. With that, he exploded into a flock of crows as Baki turned to see the other masked men were gone as well. As he noticed the room was glowing slightly, as there was a barrier placed around, blocking chakra and sound from leaving. But he wondered how was he going to deal with the situation now. The village had no leaders and how things stood. Without a Kage or the council, the village would be lost. He would need help. Civilians and retired shinobi would do. They need a new council. Back at Konoha, Naruto's house. "Are you really fine, Naruto?" Mikato asked, looking at Naruto with concern. He did not show up at the old man's funeral, and he did not seem to be troubled by it, as she didn't believe that Naruto was a cold person, that he wouldn't care if someone died that he knew. But he and the old man was friends, well, until of late. As Naruto was saying that the old man was trying to manipulate him, and he was getting pissed off more regularly. It seems like he drove a wedge between them. She was never fond of the old man's trick. Perhaps that is why she stayed away from the village politics and the council. "I have no problems. Perhaps I was sad for a moment that he was dead, but I've gotten over that." As they were sitting behind his house in the garden, Eugeo and Sasuke was also there. His mother was in the house with Jiraiya, as Naruto didn't know what they were talking about, but he didn't try to figure it out. She sighed and just nodded. "Are you still serious about leaving the village for your training?" Sasuke was the one to speak. Of course he was serious, mother. And Sasuke also wanted to get stronger. They would not leave him behind when they go out for dangerous missions. "You appear fine when I talk about it yesterday," Naruto said, ignoring Sasuke. "I was," Mikato said, "but when I got home I thought about it and I realized you were gone too long for my liking. I will miss you. Just thinking about your absence made me lonely and sad." Naruto raised an eyebrow as he thought over a few things. "If it weren't for your responsibilities, maybe you could come with us." Mikato nodded. "Well, when at least you do come, you will be all grown up and you'll be looking like a man. You think like a man, but you haven't quite grown up, physically at least. I wish I could just sleep and wake up 3 or 4 years later." As Eugeo looked at Mikato with a corner eye, was it just her? No, she wasn't seeing things. Mikato had a strange look on her face, and it was directed towards Naruto. It wasn't the first time that she was seeing it. In fact, she treated Naruto like an adult and Sasuke like a child. When she spoke to Naruto, she spoke like she was speaking to someone her age. Could she be saving him for when he get older? She was a fit, single woman who didn't seem to have any interest in any other man than Naruto, who was the man but a boy by the way, but that didn't seem to matter to Mikato. She was waiting until he come back all grown so she could do nasty things to him. Eugeo turned red as her thoughts wandered off. She looked at Naruto. He was a fine looking boy who was mature, but his mother issues were a problem. How come neither Naruto or Kushina realized the intentions of Mikato? As she realized that she was literally staring at him and he was staring back at her, she quickly turned her head, but he shrugged it off. That is what she liked about him. He didn't really ask a lot of questions. But Mikato saw it as she didn't let it slip. "Is there something on your mind, Eugeo?" "Oh, no, she said. "Have you cleared things with Anbu? When Konoha does get a new Hokage, you won't be able to roam around as you are now. But it will be simple for you to come here as much as you like." "I have," said Eugeo. Mikato nodded. "Well, are you planning on joining Naruto? Though for you it will be difficult to convince the leaders to allow you to leave. I've been Anbu all my life. Since I have quit Anbu, I would have to be drafted in the Jonin roster, or at least register, to take part in any missions. For now, I am free of all chains until I agree to anything. I am retired as a shinobi. Besides, any Hokage who comes in would only read a file to say I am incapable of carrying my duties as a shinobi." The third never got a chance to complete his report. Time skip. Jiraiya looked at Naruto with a confused look on his face. As, now? Naruto just told him that he wanted to leave the village for a training trip. He was doing fine inside this village, so what was the problem now? "Things have changed for you, Naruto. You no longer need to worry about someone attacking you, or the villagers throwing things at your house. Your mother can smile walking around the streets and no one is through glares at you and her." As Jiraiya tried to reason with Naruto, "I didn't say that things weren't the same, Jiraiya," Naruto said, in a calm tone. Things have changed. He was willing to admit that. There wasn't a load on his shoulders. He felt free. Things were changing. Konoha was changing, but he was not. He will always be Naruto. Then why do you want to leave Konoha? I thought I explained that clearly for you to understand. You're not a simple man who cannot understand simple terms. Why do you look so baffled by a simple statement? I just want to know why I cannot understand your reasoning and the timing of your thoughts. You don't have to understand it, Naruto said, a wave of sand. But it makes things easy for me if you do understand it. Still, it is making me annoyed. Why? You cannot see why I need a time away from the village to train. Simple things you must understand, Jiraiya. Jiraiya didn't like the way Naruto was talking to him. Perhaps he just didn't want to think about the reason. He just wanted Naruto to explain. As Naruto seemed rather annoyed. I understand you want to get strong, but Naruto cut him off. If you're going to ask me why I want to get strong, you can stop, Jiraiya. I honestly don't have the patience to answer idiotic questions. Have you heard about the Akatsuki? But guys, be ending this episode right here. If you want to see the next part of this, I already know what to do. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn the bell notifications stay posted. Remember to share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, go ahead and click that red subscribe button if you're new and become a part of the Anime King family. And also guys, stay in tune for the rest of the What Ifs coming your way. I'm going to be posting a new episode of What If Naruto was neglected by everyone. So stay in tune for that, and I hope you guys do enjoy. And I'm also going to be posting a brand new episode of What If Naruto was a god amongst man over in Anime King 2. And I'm also going to be posting a new episode of What If Naruto was a deceitful god. So stay in tune for that as well guys. But for now, I'm out of here. Peace.